before we get into the latest goings on with the Cubs, the interesting fallout from last week's amazing interview with Ryan Sandberg is incredible support for Rhino, incredible support for his battle. His statue is going to be unveiled on the 23rd of June. And then a lot of people reaching out who had unfortunate interactions in the Little League world and relayed their stories at what Rhino had gone through at the start of the podcast, what he was relating to us. So a great job getting him on, and that was a lot of fun to talk to him because I thought he was great on so many levels. Yeah,
he was terrific, and he and I communicated a little bit after the podcast, and you know what he called it? It's similar to what he said at the end of the podcast about some of the other activities he had done. He called it therapy coming on with us, that it was, good to get out there and talk about some of this stuff again. I'm glad he brought to the table that personal experience on the Little League field, because I think that's an important issue nowadays with kids in sports.
Totally agree. And again, we congratulate him on the statue, and we cheer him on as he goes through his cancer fight and seems to be going in a very positive direction as he's battling through radiation now after going through chemo. Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, anybody who hasn't listened to it, it's worth your while just to hear what Rhino has to say on a couple of subjects.
Yeah, and he tells some great baseball stories.
Oh, man.
The pitch that struck out Joe Ursulak in 1984, how Sutcliffe tells the story of what that pitch really was, because it was nowhere close to the plate. All right, so let's get into where the Cubs are at. As you and I are taping this, they're about to take 2 of 3 from the San Francisco Giants. The offense has come around and has been better. 2 home runs this week for Dansby Swanson, multi-RBI day twice. So good to see that. Ian Happ has been better. Michael Busch has been on fire. I'll read you some of his numbers. They're incredible over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yet the bullpen continues to give it up. Monday night, Cubs have a 6-3 lead in the 8th, 6-4 going to the 9th. And the next thing you know, Hector Neris gives up a 3-run home run, and the Cubs lose 7-6. So your thoughts on where they're at right now?
Same place they were at. I mean, you go get rid of Yan Gomes, you bring in Nito. Oh, boy, we'll change the entire season. My ass. They're still these guys that are starting to hit, we kind of expected them to start to hit eventually because of what's on the back of their baseball cards. We talked about Ian Happ for several podcasts weeks ago, and I said over and over again, streaky hitter, he'll come around, and when he gets on a good streak, he'll be on fire. Dansby looks a little better the last couple of games, and you mentioned Busch, so they're going to hit a little more. Their starting pitching's okay. Kyle Hendricks looks like, hey, maybe he's turned a corner, and if he has, that could be a big boost to him. But man, this bullpen is awful. It is freaking awful. Until Keaton Thompson came in and saved a 3-run lead the other night against the Giants, they had blown 16 out of 32 saves. 16 out of 32, my man. One of the only teams worse than that's the White Sox. Nobody in this city can hold a lead. And by the way, take that all the way anywhere you want. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the Bears blew a bunch of fourth quarter leads last year too. What's going on in this city? The one team that has the resources to do something very specifically about a very specific inning didn't do it, even though we knew that was a weak spot with this roster going into the season. And now they're going to have to do it on the fly, do it at the trade deadline. Keegan Thompson, minute he gets the save, He goes on paternity leave because his wife's in labor. I mean, does that not underscore everything that's gone on with this bullpen this year and what a labor it's been for this bullpen all freaking year?
Great pun. Keegan Thompson, when he came in on Tuesday night at Wrigley, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. 3 hitters, struck them all out. He looked like he had a real live fastball. His breaking stuff was outstanding. And then he goes in, does the media, and then someone goes, hey, my man, come here, you got a call. And it's his wife. I'm in labor. Get to the hospital.
See you in 3 days. Good luck closing games while I'm gone.
Crazy. So this team needs to be better defensively. I believe in that defense because it was really good last year, but among the best in baseball. I believe their offense will come around. I've always said that. Love to see a big bat, some type of Vladimir Guerrero, Pete Alonso, somebody who can hit home runs. But for me, the Achilles heel of this team is still that bullpen. And they released Carl Edwards Jr., whose numbers were pretty good in AAA. And Jed said, if you're looking for a big trade on the 17th of June, it's not going to happen. They're not out there. Yet I read Chris Getz in your old employer, the bright one, the Chicago Sun-Times, on my way to the airport this morning. And Chris Getz said, oh, my God, my phone has not stopped ringing. That's all it does is ring. Yeah. Hey, is this guy available? Is that guy available? So if he can take all the calls, how come the Cubs can't be making those calls?
They are making those calls. Everybody in baseball is making those calls. The buyers are making them to the would-be sellers, and there's probably even a couple of sellers out there, although it's usually more of a one-way street at this time of the year, but there's probably even a few sellers letting people know who's out there. The problem, when he says those guys aren't out there, I take that to mean the conventional wisdom that those guys aren't out there for market prices yet because the market hasn't established itself yet. So if you want to go get those guys, and we've already seen a little bit of this, if you want to go make a trade now for somebody who you think can help you, you're probably going to overpay a little bit to get it, and you're going to overpay and you're going to get an extra month of whoever it is you're going and getting too. So that comes into play. I think, I assume, I hope, for the sake of the fans paying all the prices that they're paying, that these guys are making massive phone calls, including to the South Side. I assume he is. I assume deals won't get done until closer to a month from now in any sort of a volume way in the game, and that probably includes the Cubs. And really, honestly, I don't know how much faith I have in these guys. Last year, they needed the same damn thing, and they got a guy named Jose Cuas, who I think they released.
They DFA'd him this week.
Yes.
Yet, and again, I'm not telling you Nelson Velasquez is Willie Mays, who just passed, sadly, reincarnated. But my God, he's on a major league roster playing, and our guy's gone. Not even
my point
later.
being is that they don't, since Jed Hoyer's been there, I have yet to see aggressive upgrades, aggressive moves when the moment is there to try to see something. Now, there hadn't been many of those moments, let's be honest. And he did a pretty good job when it came time to knock everything down and blow up the roster.
Did a great job.
But that's the easy part of a rebuild, my man. It's
is.
putting it back together that's hard. It's seizing moments when they present themselves. And look, last year, it was a wide open scrum for that last spot in the NL playoff.
And you fell one freaking game short.
And the team that got there got to the World Series. And the Cubs had more pitching on paper than they did, had probably on paper just as good a chance to get hot and do what the Diamondbacks did as the Diamondbacks did. Things happen. You can't really say that. But now this year, it's an even more wide open scrum. The way it looks as we approach midseason. Have you looked at this National League? There's like 10 teams that are either in playoff position or within a game and a half or 2 games of playoff position that are 500 or worse. If that comes even close to holding up, the league will keep you in play.
Yes, if you would. Oh, my goodness. Sorry to interrupt you. As we're taping this, Jorge Soler has just hit a grand slam off of Mark Leiter Jr. It's a 6-5 ball game.
What did I say about that 6-1 lead? What'd you call it? That, oh my God.
6-5.
Who'd he hit it off of?
Mark Leiter Jr.
And that's arguably the best guy out there. Holy crap.
Yes. Sorry. He hit it off of Tyson Miller, who replaced Mark Leiter Jr.
Okay. So Mark Leiter loaded him up.
And then Tyson Miller gave up the grand slam.
Yeah. Drove him in. Jesus.
Unbelievable.
You know what,
okay.
Cap? Hey, Cap, this is a great example. And as we tape, by the time anybody's listening to this, they're going to know what the result of that game was. Let's say they hold on and win that game by the skin of their teeth. This is a perfect example. This series is a great example of why the trade deadline might soon become irrelevant for these guys. I don't think they're going to suddenly become sellers. Honestly, we've talked about this. I don't think they can. They don't have the kind of assets that are obvious trade pieces to help. I mean, that have the kind of value that's going to get you anything back. And you're in a place in your so-called cycle that you've got to be at least trying to push forward. So I don't think that they're going to suddenly be sellers, but I don't know that they're going to be in a place where there's much left to help. If this keeps up, this being an example of where they are.
Yeah, again, Gordon, everyone knows they follow this channel that I tape recaps after every game. If they blow a 6-1 lead in the 8th, I don't know how to react because I don't want to lose my mind, but I will. I will lose my freaking mind.
They scored 6 in the opener and had a 6-3 lead. I believe in the 8th. In the 8th, and they gave up 1 run there and a 3-run homer to lose it in the 9th.
Correct. That is correct.
This is some shit show going on.
This is officially a shit show. I want to get back to Michael Busch because I told you the offense is starting to come around. Michael Busch going into Wednesday's game. So now it was a 7-game hit streak. It's now 8. He has at least 2 hits today. A 9-game on base streak. It's now 10 since May 26th. Again, not the whole season, but a pretty good sample size right there on the 19th of June. He's hitting 348, 464, 543 slash with a 186 weighted runs created plus, a 17.9 walk percentage, a 26.8 K percentage, which translates to a full season where he hit 260, 353, 456, and a 130 WRC plus. Pretty damn good.
You know, on what was the middle game of this? Tuesday night, the middle game of that series.
Yeah.
I've got a couple days off in town, and my daughter's in town from Boston. She wanted to go to a ball game, so I got us some tickets. We went Tuesday night. And when Busch came, so I'm telling her the background on something. She doesn't care, but I'm telling her anyway. I'm telling her the background of some of these players. Hey, that's
what we do. That's what we do, right. You and I.
He's a guy. He was the original Cub, and he was on those playoff teams, World Series team, traded for Wade Davis. And Michael Busch comes up, and I said, this guy right here, he's a rookie, and he was with the Dodgers, and they didn't have room for him because they got all these superstars. And so the Cubs swooped in and made a deal that could turn out to actually be a pretty good deal because they had a place for him. And this is a well-regarded young player. And I think right on cue, he gets a hit. So, see, that's what I'm talking about. So, dad trying to look smart. But I do believe this, right? That this was, for all criticism, this was one of those little blinking lights, bright spots in the middle of the shit show that we're talking about. But that was a good value move, it's too bad you didn't get aggressive where there were places to get aggressive and just hammer the hell out of this division. But that was a good move. And I like what this kid can become and what it looks like he's starting to become. I think that, yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you a question.
Left-handed.
You're a little younger than me, but we're in the same general vicinity, same generation. If the New York Yankees, when George Steinbrenner was alive, were in this division, they would outspend everybody by $1 billion, and it would never be close.
Let me stop you right there. I'll tell you exactly what would happen if Steinbrenner was an owner in this division the way it is right now. MLB would realign. They would realign him out of this division because he would crush this division.
He would. That's a good point. But if he was the owner of the Cubs, the White Sox, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, whatever it was, and his team was melting down in the bullpen like this one is, I could tell you what he would do. He would walk into his general manager, air him the F out, and tell him, if you can't get it done, I will. I want bullpen help here, and I want it here not tomorrow, not after breakfast, right effing now. If you don't fix this bullpen,
that would have happened a year ago. That would have happened a year ago. And if this shit was still going on right now, as it is right now, next time he walked into that office, only one guy would be walking out. And that's the way it would go. And he'd probably be, he's already on his second manager in 2 years, might be on a third.
He wouldn't care. Like I saw on my way to the airport, I'm on my phone, and the Detroit Pistons last year signed Monty Williams to a $79 million contract, most money ever given to an NBA coach. Here we are 12 months later, they're giving him $65 million to walk away.
That's
crazy. We got a new president of basketball ops. He wants his own guy. Get out. Yeah. Would anyone in Chicago eat $10 million? They're not firing Pedro Grifol on the South Side because they don't want to pay a guy $1 million to go away.
Exactly. When was the last time they ever paid two managers? Well, I guess it was no, they didn't. Not even with Ricky. That was the Cubs that paid Ricky when they were paying other managers. Cubs were actually paying 3 managers at one point.
All right, we're going to do this in real time while we're taping this podcast. Cubs went 3 up, 3 down. Armstrong strikes out. Horner lines out. Suzuki grounds out. Here it comes. Estrada, Flores, and Wisely are coming up.
Shall we remind the listeners who hit the home run the other night?
Who does he close with? Because it's not up there yet.
Leiter's out.
They've used Leiter. Keegan's not there. They've used Tyson Miller. Does he go to Neris?
He has to, doesn't he?
He has to.
And Estrada's the guy that hit the homer off of Neris the other night.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got the play-by-play. I don't have it in front of me. You've got it in front of you?
I have it in front of me. So as soon as they announce the pitching change, I'm going to give it to you. And we're going to go through this with people while we're on. It is unfreaking believable.
Too bad this isn't live. Hey, Cap, we got to figure out a way to make our podcast live.
We will do some live ones. We will. 100%. Okay, this is how bad it's gotten. He's closing with Colton Brewer.
Oh, my God. He won't even go to Neris.
Go to Neris.
The other night, he was asked about Neris. Are you going to take him out of the – well, I don't see that happening. You're not going to take him out of that rule.
Well, he didn't close on Tuesday night, and he isn't closing on Wednesday.
Yeah, I would say he's not the closer anymore.
Correct. So I am going to give this to you. If he gives up the lead, it will be literally insanity.
You should do your recap right here and now.
Right.
It's already.
David Bodie with a really nice play, so it is 1 out in the ninth.
Wow.
David Bodie behind third, across the foul line, and gunned him out. Really nice play.
I'm going to ask you something. You can answer it in between these plays or afterwards if you want. But with all the information we now have as we're very close to mid-season this year and seeing everything the way it played out all the way through last year, how certain are you that you were right about the level of excitement you had when Craig Counsell came aboard, the difference that you thought that change would make? You still feel like that's the massive difference maker that?
No, I don't. And again, I'm not criticizing him. So anyone out there listening, I don't want you on social going, he doesn't like the manager. I think he's a good manager. I think he's been dealt a bad hand here.
Yeah.
But guess what? The other day, Monday night, I don't know if the night they gave up the home run.
Yeah.
Patrick Wisdom leads off the 9th inning. And hat tip Tommy Waddle because he said it first.
Oh, I heard this on the radio yesterday. Yes.
The first pitch is a ball. The second pitch is a ball. It's 2-0. You need a run to stay alive. And the third pitch is that far outside. They said it was the most egregious blow. The umpire auditor, most missed calls by an umpire this season. He missed 27 balls and strikes. 27! 14 strikes, 13 balls were called incorrectly. So this one is about a foot outside. I'm not kidding. And by the way, he just walked the next guy.
Oh, geez. The tying runs on base.
Tying runs on. So the ball's that far outside, and Wisdom gives him a look, but he's not going to get himself kicked out. That was the moment, Waddle's right, that Craig Counsell comes out, rips home plate out of the dirt, gets in the face of the umpire, and says, this bullshit's got to stop. That's incompetent. You have no idea how far outside that pitch was. He stood there like a freaking statue.
Yeah, and the one thing we know, and again, this is not to criticize Counsell, Rossi would have lost his friggin' mind.
Lost his shit. He would have lost his shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you realize if you live bet the the Giants, right now, they're down a run with one out in the ninth. They're 3-1 on your money, plus 300. That's how much Vegas believes in the Cubs bullpen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If this guy hits a home run wisely, I'll wisely end this podcast and just go effing insane.
I don't even know who Wisely is.
I don't either.
I was listening to the broadcast today, first inning, and Pat or Ron were talking about Wisely takes that pitch. And I'm thinking, why was it so wise that he took that pitch? It turned out it was Wisely that took the pitch.
And by the way, Wisely has 2 hits today.
Yeah.
Kyle Hendricks, let's talk about that while we watch.
And an unassisted double play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kyle Hendricks today because he was really, really good. Struck out 8. Gave up 2 hits.
You know, I saw him a week right before. I saw him right before that unexpected long relief appearance that was just spectacular, that earned him this start that he just kind of picked up where he left off on. And he was in a good place. He was in a good frame of mind. Just had a conversation with him. I've known him since he was a rookie. I wasn't doing a story on him. I just wanted to say hi and see how he was doing and what was up this season with him. And, you know, he really seemed like he was in a good headspace. I'm not saying I sat there predicting that he was going to go off and have a great season or anything, but that kind of coincides a little bit with what we've seen since. And maybe he felt good about something at that time because he'd already had a few successful innings leading into that.
By the way, Gordon, he's gone from 0-2 on Wisely to 3-2.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He just walked him. First and second now.
You gotta be kidding me.
First and second, 1 out. You are closing down games with Colton Brewer. What the F are we doing?
Congratulations, Jed. You've completely mind-fucked your own team with the way you've put things together and haven't put things together in the last calendar year.
Here's a mound visit from Tommy Hoodie. Okay.
Oh, good Lord.
And I love Tommy. He's a great dude.
Tommy's
He's done an
good.
awesome job with the starters.
Tommy's really good. He just doesn't have to work with.
Jed, this is what I got to work with in the bullpen? Really? Oh, here we go. Guess who's warming up to come in?
Oh.
Take a guess. It's
Does
not
it
Neris.
with Hector Neris?
It is not Hector Neris.
Oh, wow. Who is it?
Hayden Wisniewski, who's given up like 1 billion home runs.
I was going to say, he could give up the game winner.
I mean, this is literally insane. And all they're doing on Marquee, besides showing the pitches, is zooming in on Craig Counsell.
Yeah, but good luck getting them to talk about him or criticize anything that's going on.
Yeah, and that's what's disappointing to me. We'll get back to Counsell while we're live dealing with this nonsense at Wrigley. What I am most disappointed in, I'm really serious with this. He acts like he's like a zombie. Like he does. I don't see any fire. I don't. I want to hear him go, you know what? This is bullshit. We're better than this, and I'm not going to tolerate it. And if we got to send guys down to the minors and go get guys out of an independent league, we're going to figure this shit out. And I don't hear any of that.
And we know he's got an edge to him. We sometimes hear it in his voice. He sometimes gets a little short and irritable.
Ground ball up the middle. It's now second and third, 2 outs. He got the out at first, Swanson. Made a nice play.
Ooh.
So now base hit gives them the lead.
Oh, my God. A wild pitch ties it.
A wild pitch will tie it. He literally, it was, that's how close the play was at first to having the bases loaded with one out. I mean, like that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It is, I will go insane if they get a hit here. If they get a hit, Bailey is up. He's 1 for 4. I don't know who he is.
He's the catcher.
There's a ground ball in the second, and the Cubs win. Hallelujah! Colton Brewer's acting like he won the World Series. He's going like that.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Prayers answered
6-5
by the Colton friggin' Brewer.
Good. Yeah, I want to know where Hector Neris is, because Craig was like, I'm not changing anything. Yeah, 2 games in a row you've needed your closer. 2 games in a row you haven't gone to him. Holy shit.
This is, this right here, this is the way we need to market our podcast. Watch Cap, watch the end of a Cubs game.
That's exactly right. Kyle Hendricks gets the win, and Cubs get a W. Good Holy jeez. Wow. Anyway. All right.
Do we think that Kyle Hendricks can help right this ship at all?
If he pitched like he did today.
The only problem with that is, like, I think he's got it in him to go on a run, but I don't know that. I mean, we just saw it today. I mean, they got a 6-1 lead and they almost blow it after he's out of the game. I'm not sure. The starting pitching's fine. I mean, another good starting pitcher, okay. Just more leads still, right?
Guess what? This falls at the feet of 2 people. Actually, 3. Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins, and Tom Ricketts.
Yes.
Tom has given him enough money to compete with, no doubt. But guess what? At some point, Tom has to walk in and go, yeah, come in. Oh, hey, Tom, what's up? Fix your goddamn bullpen or I'll find someone who will. Are we clear? And walk out.
He seems way too willing to go halfway. And with bullpen fixes, a lot of times it's less about the money you spend than simply the choices you make. Like, I don't think he got enough depth, and some of the choices and the pieces that he added were bad choices. I mean, and granted, those might be some of the harder choices to make, but this is an organization for 2 years in a row actually did a pretty good job of getting end of the bullpen guys, bringing in end of the bullpen guys during that time when they were flipping guys and trying to rebuild the farm system and the young core.
Yeah, no question. So, like guys like David Robertson, who they turned into Ben Brown, who's unfortunately injured.
Or, Andrew Chafin, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, friend of the podcast. All right, Gordon, have a great rest of your day. Cubs win, baby.
Congrats, Cap. Enjoy it while you can.
I won't tear up my hotel room. I will go rock star in here. I almost did. All right, have a great day.
All right, you too, man.
There he is. A lot of fun with my guy, Gordon Whitmire, on the latest edition of our Cubs Recap Podcast, a presentation of our Recap YouTube channel, available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcast. For Gordon, I'm Cap. Take that.